guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to create three different cards, and what I'm showing you here is the beginning of the first card. I am going to use my Dancing Florals stamp set, and two of my cards are using masking. The one you see here is where I'm using a masking, that is what I want to think of it as a positive mask. I had die cut this circle and from a scratch piece of paper, and I'm going to use the circle, not the outside area of it. So that is what I'm doing here. I am planning on how I want my leaves and florals to be. um, as you might know, this stamp set has 21 different images and there are so many possible combinations. I did what I do always on a scratch piece of paper. I have played with these and decided what colors I want, what kind of cards I want, and this is where I'm on on the side. It's not shown in the camera, but on the side there is a little cheat sheet I like to call it, and I'm referring to that again and again, so I know approximately where I want these elements to go. I'm using all three leaf elements here. There are three of them included in this stamp set. I'm using all three. And for all of my cards today, I have used Concord and Ninth ink cubes. Recently, and or not so recently, I got the whole bunch, and I'm happy to say I'm so pleased with these inks. They are just so juicy, and they are those foam ink cubes, foam pad ink cubes, and I'm simply loving them. Another trick that I like to do, you must have seen me do this very often, is if I'm a little bit undecided about where I want one particular stamp image to go, I just get some packaging material, some kind of transparent material before I actually line up the stamp on the card base itself. So that's what I did. I just got a tiny piece of packaging material, I think one of the stamp set covers or something, and that helped me position my leaf image without accidentally getting the ink. Yeah, I'm lazy when it comes to cleaning these stamps in between. I know it's a good habit, and please don't do what I'm doing. Keep your stamps clean. My habit is more like, okay, I will do all my projects and then at one time I will simply go and clean them up, either with the stamp cleaner or with just normal soap and water. But in this case, in between the projects, you rarely see me clean things up. So, oh, I think I I lied, not intentionally. I promise, not intentionally. But I think on this particular one, and probably even the next one, I used some Distress Oxide inks. And don't worry, I'll figure it out. I'll make sure they match the inks. And I have taken pictures. I take a lot of pictures in between when I'm deciding the inks and stuff. So I will link to the actual supplies I have used. So in this case, the green was from Concord and 9. This one is a Distress ink. I believe it should be worn lipstick. I have only a few Distress Oxides, so it's easy for me to figure out which one I have used. So this is what I'm doing. I'll probably speed up from here on out, and all I'm doing is placing the elements from that stamp set in different positions, coloring them, inking them, going all around and creating a wreath. And I'll probably speed up from now and just show you the end result. Okay, so from here on out, I keep adding more and more images onto this wreath. I'm just calling it a wreath, but it doesn't have any lines or vines or anything like that. And again, I'm using another Distress Oxide for the yellow, and this is where I have mostly finished all the inking, all the stamping, and my wreath is ready. I have probably used about 4 or 5, maybe more, different images from this stamp set, but as you can see, they all coordinate very well together. And now for the reveal, you take off the mask, and that's a perfect circle, and you have a wreath. I love this. I love masking just for this purpose. That when I see it, and I know that the reveal will make me look like, oh, I like all these surprises. Anyways, the next step is to stamp the sentiment in the middle. I'm picking up one of the sentiments from Garden Delights stamp set, and it's a birthday sentiment. Yes, I want to stock up on birthday cards. So I think I'm going to create two birthday cards and one, not a birthday card, but two birthday cards today. So this sentiment I'm going to stamp in black ink. I'm going to use Maker Forte black ink, and again this stamp pad for me is just so juicy, so I just um, lately have been using this a lot, especially when I'm not going to color on top, because I haven't tested this ink whether it is alcohol markers friendly or watercolor friendly. I don't think it is, but I haven't tested it. So that is where I'm leaving the first card alone. I'll come back to it later. For the second card, a second panel that I'm going to work on, I have created a mask by cutting out one heart shape. This is from one of the older Spellbinders die kits. And this is a heart that has like leafy vines on the side on all its edges. This time I'm using the negative area. So not the heart, I'm using the leftover area from this panel. One very important thing that I want to call out is whenever you are doing something like masking, or whenever you're doing something where you are stamping in a restricted area, pay very close attention to not accidentally getting ink smudges. Ask me how I know. But ink smudges anywhere, wherever you don't want them. In the previous one, what we did was we used the mask and we stamped all around it. This time I'm doing the other way. I am using the negative mask and I'm creating all my stamping. So I'm creating the design within the heart inside. Um, so I just use different inks and different colors. This time I think even the green is a distress oxide ink that you can see on the side, and I'm simply going around and filling as many areas as I can with different colors. I'll probably combine some of the colors from Concord and Ninth ink cubes also. Another tip I have for stamping any pattern, design pattern, when you're stamping, this is my preference. Again, you can be different. I prefer to stamp any image in odd numbers. So if you see the leaves, I try to at least get a fifth leaf somewhere. If you see the flowers, I try to get different flowers again in odd numbers. um, I think that gives a lot of visual interest. The third tip I have for stamping solid stamps, I've shared this before, and I am going to show how I did that technique just in a little bit here. I am working in assembly line today, so I'm doing all levels of work on all three cards at the same time. So I'm doing all stamping ones, and then next I'll do all the, if I already did die cutting, then I'm doing all stamping, then I'll do assembly, then I'll finally put the panels on the card. So I'm taking one step and doing all of the process of that particular step for all of my cards. So I'm creating three cards today, all of them are going through this assembly line process. Another thing that I do is, if I'm not certain about a certain ink color or what I want to do, what you see me do here is I'm getting a scratch piece of paper and I'm just playing around figuring out what color will look good. I have tested about two colors now. I don't think I liked any of them. Finally, I went with one of the very pale pink colors from Concord and Ninth. I liked that one the best. I think this is ballet slippers. Yeah. So from there, I just played with it, filled in as many areas as I can. And again, if you noticed, I went from larger images filling up bigger spaces to smaller images which will go in between those spaces. That always works well, at least for me, because I get to position the more eye catching images across and create a design, and then leftover or smaller pieces I can fit whatever smaller images I want to. I used dots in this case just to fill in the blanks, because in those tiny spaces I would not get um, the bigger flowers to fit. So next what I did was the trick that I was talking about for flat images. When these are solid stamp images, there is always a risk that they'll appear flat. I like to go into each and every image and just add a little bit of pencil shading. It doesn't really take a whole lot of time, maybe a few seconds per image, but it definitely enhances the look. What you also see me do here is for my shaker, I have already created the circle, the the thing that will sit on top, the shaker itself. And I have also picked out matching sequins. I found some old style sequins from my stash that match the colors perfectly. So I have already put them in the middle, and I'm going around the entire wreath, adding just some little bit of shading in some areas, not the whole coloring. Not i'm not I'm not actually coloring anything. I'm just adding a little bit of lines um, on each and every image to make it look not flat. So again, I think did a lot of I I filmed a lot of this footage, but then I think my camera completely stopped filming when I did that happy birthday card. I'm sorry about that. The card where you see I have kept happy birthday images, let me take a minute to talk about it. I used other images from the same stamp set, and I have stamped that entire pattern. The lined leaves, though, are from a different set. The lined leaves, where they are not solid stamps, they are coming from the Garden Delight stamp set. Um, Again, whatever works, right? So I'm just combining just a few leafy lines or leaves from the other stamp set, and they go so well together. They don't look bad at all. At least I don't think they do, because the style is the same. So that's what I have done on that card. After I finish adding a little bit of details on this card, I'm going to work on the shaker element. What I have done on the side is I created a gold ring, and on the inside of it I have already attached my transparent material. That is a heat embossing possible, or heat resistant transparency, or something like that. I'll link to the product below. But what I have done is I have created like a ring of the gold mirror cardstock that will be my frame. I have also used double sided adhesive sheets, like foam sheets from scrapbook adhesive, to cut a ring of that foam that matches my gold ring exactly, so that it will be hidden behind. What you see me do here is I'm trying to take the stick away from the the adhesive, the foam adhesive that I added on the side. And one of the best ways to do that is to use powder tool, the same one that we used for embossing. So what I did was I added powder, so this removes the stick on the side. Otherwise, often you will see that your sequences go to one place and then they don't move, because the tape, the sides of the tape or the sides of your foam adhesive is holding it together. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. I'm shaping that circle properly so that it fits snug and exactly behind my ring. I'm also cleaning up the transparency to make sure there is no powder showing. And remember, when you do the powder thing, make sure you have not taken the release paper off, because if your release paper is off, guess what? Your actual adhesive, foam adhesive where you want it to stick also won't stick. So be careful with that. When you run your powder tool, make sure you have not yet taken off the adhesive, the release paper from the adhesive. So just pay attention, pay attention to that. Okay, and I'm making sure that my sequences are all facing the right way, because this I have found, I have done this at least once, where some of them are facing the other side and then it bothers me, and then I'm like, okay, this time I'm going to mix all the sequence and make them stay the way I want. And then finally, when I'm satisfied with it, I'm going to put my shaker element right on top. I'm so sorry, my messy hair is in the middle, but I had to get it exactly straight. So that's what I did. And then eventually, you will also, I'm practicing, I'm making sure that they move, and they do. Eventually, you'll also see me add the same sequence on the outside. This is another thing I like to do. I like to bring a little bit of the bling that we always add inside the shaker to the outside. So in this case, I'm going to add it to the wreath part of it, just for fun. So I'm and I just got pink and yellow and green, and I'm making sure that they are not where the same colored stamping is. That's all. Just some of my quirks. By now you should know. Okay, I did some really big speed up, and what you see me do here is pick matching colors the same as the ones inside the shaker, and I'm arranging them wherever I want them, and I will adhere them in place. um, all I'm trying to do is make sure that the same color sequence is not near the same color stamp. That's all. Okay, next we'll work on the second card. um, the routine is the same. I'm going to add pencil details on all of these, and I'm going to finish it with the frame that I've already die cut from gold mirror cardstock. In this case, I'm not making it a shaker. I just want that design to be inside the heart and the sentiment falling off of it. That's all. Nothing fancy with this particular one. And I'm making sure that some of um, the leaves on the sides of that frame are exactly where they have to be, the way the mask had been, because otherwise it will show some wonky edges, like somewhere where the blue flower is falling off, it will show very weird looking blue showing, peeking out. So I'm going to make sure that it fits exactly where the mask was. What you see me do here is I'm simply assembling my hello sentiment, and I'm just loving this glue right now. um, and you will see this glue make an appearance in almost all the recent videos at least, and I think I should already order for a new one for this one. I love it so much. This is my only go-to liquid adhesive right now. With this particular hello die, it comes in three parts. It gets split into three parts. The H and one of the L's are connected. L and O is connected, and then E is on its own. So I'm just making sure that I'm adhering the gold on the white shadow, and to hold it in place I'll just put some acrylic block on top. Now I'm just adding adhesive to the back of my frame. Oh, something very important to remember with this particular die, or any die that you're going to use as a mask that is not exactly symmetrical. When you create the mask, when you lay down the mask, make sure it will match the exact same way the die is supposed to face. For example, if I had put my negative mask upside down, like I had flipped the paper, then I would not be able to match it when the die came through. The way I realized this is when I was doing my practice stamping. I did it. I put the mask on the wrong side, and when I tried to put the frame on it, it did not match. So pay attention to this if you're going to use masks that are asymmetrical. If it is a symmetrical one, even some of the hearts are asymmetrical, but mostly if you have hearts that are symmetrical or hexagon or circle, of course, then you should be fine. But for something like this, where the frame is very organic and it's not symmetrical on either side, it makes a difference on which way you put the mask down. Just some side note. One more thing, what what I realized was, there was some place in between where the stamping had not happened properly, and I wanted to cover that up. So I'm going to put my hello right on top, but that will leave like a little bit of more white on the side. So I went and stamped one more pink there, and then I'm going to adhere my hello. I also realized that because there is a frame, the hello will become wonky. So what I did was I die cut the shadow from some foam, like craft foam, and that is what I'll adhere to the behind of this frame, and that's how the sentiment will get adhered. Okay, so for the last card, I'm just playing around with where I want that happy birthday to go, and I will put down the die the way I want it, and then I will use the negative space of that happy and birthday. I will hold that in place, like I will tape it down so that I can use this negative space as my guide for putting down the actual letters. And I tried both ways. I tried using putting the glue on the letter and then sliding it in. I tried putting the glue in the negative space and then sliding it in. I like the second option better. What you see me do here is I'm putting glue on the letter itself, and then I'll try to slide it in and hold it down with that same tweezer thingy and make sure that it is in place. But on the other one, I actually taped it down through the negative area. I put glue and then slid my non-glued letter into it. I also lost the footage where I trimmed this panel into two diagonally. I just want a little bit of some other color to peek through. And now we are in the final stage where I'm assembling all the cards. The first one, I'm going to add it to a top folding yellow card base. I think this yellow color is from Simon Says Stamp. I will link to the actual cardstock for your reference. And I added double-sided tape, flat double-sided tape at the back of this, and simply adhered it to my card base. The second one, I'm going to add it to a blue card base, and I want to make sure that the tiny little hello hangs off of the panel, and with its yellow craft foam peeking from behind, I want it to hang off on the blue side of it. So what I did was I trimmed my panel on the right side a little bit so that I can have a little bit of blue showing through, and that's how I'm going to design this particular card. Card 2 done, and now for the third card. I'm going to add a bit of a washi tape as the diagonal area thingy, Just to position my washi tape exactly, I put down one of my panels, holding them down with some scratch piece of washi tape again, and then I will slide my yellow washi tape underneath and place it right there. I want that to be peeking behind the actual panel, so I just want to make sure that it gets exactly where I want it. So once I have it figured out, all I need to do is trim the washi tape and adhere both the other side panels, the actual stamped panels, using some foam adhesive. And I'm going to use leftover craft foam, which is the yellow craft foam that you saw me use for hello. And I'm just going to add bits and pieces of it. I know I have used a lot of these for die cutting already. I don't mind. I just want to make sure that um, it fills the area and it doesn't make anything wonky. Those are the three cards. This is the last one I'm assembling with some leftover craft foam, and beyond this I don't think I added any other bling on top of this card. It has too much going on for it already in terms of design and dots and colors. So I just, this one I left free of any sequence. But that's it. That's the three cards we created today using the Dancing Floral stamp set, and we used a whole bunch of different images from it. Um, there was already another card that I shared where we used the lemon wedges images. Today I used more of the floral ones. I have at least one more card to share with you that uses the same stamp set, and I sincerely hope that you will give this stamp set a try. I am very sure you won't be disappointed. I think that's all I have for you. Thank you so much for your support of this channel, my tiny little corner. God bless you all. Bye now.